"Ma'am, that's not your lane." That's the first thing he said before the desert answered with silence so heavy it could cut through steel. The Nevada sun didn't shine, it punished. Range Echo 9 shimmered under 114 degrees of heat distortion, the kind that made the air look like boiling glass. A line of silhouettes stretched across the firing berm, 12 shooters. 12 rifles, all men. Until now. Gunnery Sergeant Rhea Voss stepped out of the JLTV and into that heat like it owed her something. Tan fatigues crisp. Drag bag slung over one shoulder. Expression unreadable. The kind of quiet that made loud men uncomfortable. No one spoke as she crossed the sand. Only the crunch of her boots and the distant chop of a UH-1Y Venom somewhere over the ridge. Behind the shade of a supply truck, 2 Marines leaned on ammo crates. Sergeant Nolan Pike, arms folded, jaw tight. Corporal Tyler Finch, half smile, half nervous. "Quantico sent us a librarian," Pike muttered. Finch smirked. "Hope she brought a manual." Rhea ignored them. She knelt beside her mat, unzipped the padded drag bag, and pulled free her M1-10A2 flat dark earth. Optics capped, bipod folded, the kind of rifle that divided shooters. Some called it too sensitive for the desert. Others called it art. She began assembly. Click. The bipod locked. Torque. The scope seated. A faint hiss as she adjusted her weather meter. Her movements were silent choreography, each one stripped of wasted effort. Pike watched, pretending not to. He'd seen arrogance before, but this was something else. The wind picked up, carrying a taste of sand and carbon. From the range tower, Colonel Elias Cade surveyed through binoculars. His voice came over the loudspeaker. "Gravel and authority. Listen up. This qualification isn't just about hitting steel. It's about proving your rifle works when the world doesn't." The shooters straightened. Rhea didn't look up. She adjusted her parallax knob and set her cheek weld. Eyes calm behind the glass. Cade continued, "We've got observers from Division today. Keep your muzzles straight. Keep your egos buried. Fail your weapon, and you fail your platoon." A murmur rippled down the line. Then Cade added, "Almost offhand, and one of you isn't shooting the M40, she's here from the Marine Advanced Marksmanship Directorate. New system, semi-auto. We'll see how it performs." Every head turned. Rhea didn't flinch. She just pressed her shoulder into the stock, sighted the empty target stand, and whispered, barely audible, "It'll run." Finch whispered to Pike, "She talks to her rifle now." Pike smirked. "Won't matter. That thing'll jam before lunch." But there was something in Rhea's stillness that didn't match their laughter. Her right hand brushed a faint scar across her knuckles, old burn marks, the kind that only come from clearing a jam under fire. She remembered another heat, Helmand. Years ago. A teammate screaming, a bolt locked, a second too long. The kind of failure that brands itself into your bones. That's why she was here, not to prove the rifle, to prove herself against the ghosts that came with it. Cade's voice snapped her back. "Range Echo 9 ready up. Target's hot in 30. Brass rattled, bolts slammed. The line of shooters came alive. Rhea finished her checks, exhaled once, and locked the bolt to the rear. Her reflection flashed in the ejection port, eyes gray, steady. Then she noticed it, a glint, tiny, metallic. Something wedged near the extractor claw so small it could have been nothing, or everything. Her thumb hovered over the bolt. Wind hissed through the firing line, behind her. Pike's voice carried just loud enough hope she brought an armorer. She didn't turn, didn't answer, but for the first time. Her jaw tightened barely, the faintest sign of a storm building under control. The range buzzer cracked through the heat. Firing line stand by. Rhea lowered into prone, one eye on the target, one on the truth she hadn't yet decided to face, and, for a moment, even the desert held its breath. Every soldier's got a story. Subscribe to Stories Unseen and keep yours in the fight. The air on Range Echo 9 vibrated with heat and tension. Targets glimmered in the mirage. Brass smelled sharp in the sun. Colonel Elias Cade's voice cut through it all, rough as gravel on steel. "This isn't marksmanship," he barked. "It's proof. When the dust chokes your lungs and your weapon's your only friend, you either trust it or you die holding it." A low eye. Sir rippled down the firing line. Boots shifted. Bolts slammed. Rhea Voss didn't move. Her cheek rested against the stock of her M110A2. The heat rising off the barrel shimmered like invisible fire. She wasn't here for a score. She was here to test trust, hers and theirs. Colonel Cade lowered his binoculars. "Rangemaster, assign the Directorate Rep Lane 5. I want a clean view." A voice crackled back over comms copy. "Sir, Lane 5, hot, at the end of the line." Pike grinned. "Center lane," he muttered to Finch. "Perfect stage for a public malfunction." Finch didn't answer. His eyes darted toward Rhea, then back to the ammo crates stacked beside them. Rhea rose from prone, slung the rifle, and headed for the range tower to sign off on her paperwork name. Serial, weapon system, a procedural formality. 10 minutes. At most. That's when Pike moved. He lifted a crate, pretending to inventory rounds. His shadow fell across Rhea's mat, with practiced ease. He knelt, back turned to the tower. A quick glance left, then right. Nobody watching. The rest of the shooters were busy hydrating, adjusting optics, bullshitting from the pouch on his belt. Pike drew a sliver of brass sheared, bent, smaller than a thumbnail. He flicked it between his fingers once, twice, then eased open the M110A2's bolt carrier. The sound was surgical metal brushing metal. He wedged the burr behind the extractor claw, deep enough to stay hidden, not enough to notice at a glance. One press of his thumb, one soft click. "Done," he whispered. Finch swallowed. "You sure about this?" Sarge Pike's smile didn't reach his eyes. "If that toy rifle fails, the old man'll never push them on us. This is for the unit." He closed the action, smoothed the chamber flag back into place, and stood. The weapon lay spotless exactly as she'd left it. Moments later, Rhea came jogging back from the tower, clipboard signed, sleeves rolled up, calm. She gave her rifle a quick visual once-over safety habits drilled too deep to ignore. Everything looked perfect. Finch tried to meet her eyes. He couldn't. Instead, he focused on the desert beyond the berm, where heat rippled like invisible waves. "Gunny," he said quietly. "Range looks brutal today." Rhea's tone was flat. "Desert's fair. It kills everyone the same way." Then she smiled. "Just barely, if you don't respect it." Colonel Cade's voice thundered again. "All shooters. Mount up, we're live in 2 mics. 12 shooters dropped into prone. Dust rose like smoke. The metallic scent of CLP mixed with sweat and ozone." Cade paced behind them, hands clasped behind his back. "This is Echo 9. You're not here to impress me. You're here to prove your weapon's a part of you. If it fails, that's on you." He stopped behind Rhea's lane. The colonel's shadow fell across her. "Directorate. You're running semi-auto. That system's still under evaluation." His tone sharpened. "If it chokes, you abort. No improvising." "Yes, sir," Rhea said. She checked wind 5 knots cross from the west, adjusted 2 clicks left. Her breathing slowed. Pike smirked 2 lanes down, whispering to Finch, "Watch this. She won't make it past the second target." Cade lifted the radio handset. "Range. Go hot." A buzz tore through the silence. Targets flipped upright gray silhouettes burning in the heat. Rhea settled in. The world narrowed to reticle and breath. Behind her, Pike shifted, pretending to adjust his spotting scope, eyes locked on her weapon, waiting for the failure he'd built with his own hands. And then a shimmer of movement at the tower. Master Gun's Marin was climbing down, tablet in hand, frowning. He approached Cade fast. "Urgent." "Sir, I pulled the Directorate record again. There's something you'll want to see." Cade's eyes narrowed. "Talk." Marin turned the screen toward him. The colonel froze. The file header read, Voss. Rhea M. Field classification, restricted Project Iron Voss. A gust of hot wind carried the word restricted like a secret too heavy for the air. Cade looked up, back toward lane 5. Rhea was already sighting in. Her finger rested on the trigger. And the colonel, for the first time that day, didn't give the order to fire. He just stared as the woman in lane 5 whispered something under her breath and pulled the trigger. The shot cracked like thunder. The shot broke the heat. Steel rang at 400 meters clean, centered, confident. Rhea rode the recoil back into glass. Wind 5 from the west. 2 clicks left. Another squeeze. Another ping. Sharper. Momentum built like a tide. Colonel Cade watched without comment. His silence meant expectation. Down the line, Pike muttered to Finch, 2 hits. Now watch it choke. Rhea shifted to 600. Mirage shimmered, heat dancing above the targets. She broke the trigger. Click. No thunder, no ping. Just a dead trigger under a living sun. Cease fire. Lane 5, the range safety officer barked, boots thudding through sand. Cease fire. Lane 5. Every rifle on the berm froze mid-breath. Rhea's cheek stayed on the stock. Her thumb worked the selector. Charging handle half an inch, then a hard stop, locked. The kind of jam that steals seconds and reputation. Shooter. The RSO called. Visor low. You require an armorer. Rhea's voice was calm steel. Negative. Attempting remedial action. Cade's shadow fell across her mat. Abort. Directorate. We're not testing heroics. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Rhea didn't look up. Respectfully request permission to clear and continue. Sir. Silence. Protocol bent under it. No one dared to stop her. Cade's eyes lingered on her, that line between discipline and defiance, so thin you could cut yourself on it. He gave a single nod. Permission granted. Rhea collapsed the stock, muzzle skyward, mortar method. She drove the butt into the mat, hauled down on the charging handle, thud, nothing, again, thud, still locked. Pike folded his arms. There it is. Finch didn't answer, just watched. Rhea went still, listening, feeling that fractional give in the mechanism, the ghost of movement. Hellman flashed through her, the sand, the scream, the bolt that wouldn't move, the second that changed everything. Not again. Shooter, the RSO said softly. I can call the armorer. Rhea's breath steadied. Negative. She rolled the rifle left, thumbed the takedown pins, click, click. The weapon split open with mechanical grace. Upper, lower. Dust fell like ash. Merrin muttered near Cade. If the extractor's obstructed, mortaring won't do it. Cade didn't reply. The rank lived in his silence. Rhea unrolled a small leather kit. The smell of oiled hide cut through CLP and sun-baked brass. Dental picks, torque wrench, mini bore scope, tools that said she wasn't guessing, she was diagnosing. She coaxed the bolt carrier forward, just enough to see. A glint. Tiny. Wrong. Her pupils narrowed. A single muscle flexed in her jaw. She didn't glance toward Pike, didn't give him the satisfaction of suspicion. She set the rifle down gently, like it could confess if treated with respect. Confirm weapon safe, the RSO said, voice cautious. Rhea's pinky swept the chamber. Confirmed. Cade's voice was even. Low. Directorate. 2 minutes. No more. Merrin checked his watch. Time starts now. Rhea threaded the bore scope through the chamber. Not the muzzle surgeon's precision. The feed glowed faint on her tablet, a tight spiral of rifling. A shadowed ridge where the extractor should have seated. She killed the screen. Pike's smile dulled. Finch exhaled through his teeth. Rhea took a tool few Marines ever see, a broken shell extractor. She aligned it through the chamber, fingertips finding resistance, turning it by feel. The desert went silent. Even the flags on the berm hung still. Time, Cade asked quietly. Merrin 1 minute 12. Rhea slid a coated rod down the barrel until it met the extractor tool. She set her palm over it. Paused. A micro-tremor ran through her fingertips. Finch whispered, "Sarge, if that's what I think, don't." Pike hissed, his throat dry as dust. Rhea's gaze cut to the ejection port, eyes gray. Calm, resolute. She whispered to the rifle, almost tender, "Easy, come home." Her hand came down. Pop. A sharp metallic release, the sound of tension dying. The stuck casing tumbled free, catching sunlight mid-air before clinking onto the mat. The bolt carrier slid back like it remembered what to do. A perfect schlack followed, the kind of sound that resets worlds. Merrin blinked. Time 86 seconds, Cade said, not looking away. Rhea wiped the bolt face. A single drop of oil to the extractor spring. Pins reassembled with surgical rhythm. She worked the handle once flawless. Weapon status, the RSO asked again. Softer now. Operational. Rhea settled into prone. Scope aligned, cheek pressed to stock. Her breath evened. "Lane 5 is hot," the RSO said. Cade raised his binoculars. Pike and Finch stood frozen. Rhea squeezed the trigger. The rifle cracked one pure, defiant sound. Steel rang back across the desert, then another, and another. A rhythm born of patience and punishment. By the fifth hit, even the wind had stopped to listen. The world snapped. A metallic pop rang inside the heat, sharp as a broken bell. The bolt carrier slid free like it remembered how. A bent crescent of brass winked in the sunlight and fell to Rhea's mat. No cheers, just breath. Just the wind under the target frames. Rhea caught the shard with 2 fingers and tucked it into the small sleeve pocket on her forearm. Evidence, or nothing. Then she moved clean, fast, exact, CLP on a cloth, 1 drop to the extractor spring. Pins back through with a soft double click. She racked the charging handle. The action replied in a full-bodied schlack that settled everyone's shoulders. Weapon status, the range safety officer managed. Operational, Rhea said. She rolled into prone, settled the stock into the notch of her shoulder, and found her glass. The sight picture opened like a door. "Lane 5 is hot," the RSO called, voice steadier now. Colonel Cade didn't speak. He didn't need to. Permission hung in the air like a charge. Rhea broke the trigger. Steel answered at 600. A second round, another ping. Her pattern built with a rhythm that made time obey. Breathe, break, reset. Brass arcing like clockwork. Numbers climbed 40, 70, 100, down the line. Finch lowered his bino and forgot to breathe. Pike didn't lower anything. He stared at her sleeve, at the pocket that now held his career. Master Guns Merrin hovered near Cade with a tablet hugged tight to his chest. The colonel's jaw ticked once. "Keep firing." He murmured to no one. Rhea flowed to 800. Mirage wavered. She rode it. A string of hits came back thin as hammered silver. By 150. Shooters who had finished their quals drifted behind Lane 5 without speaking. At 190. Someone took a step and then stopped, because it felt like stepping into a church. 200. Rhea swapped magazines without looking away from the world inside her scope. She breathed in the dust and the heat and the long memory of sun on steel. The next 13 shots landed like a measured promise. 213. She let the bolt lock back on empty and held it there. Not victory, confirmation. Silence tried to rush in. The desert didn't let it. Rhea broke the rifle open, flagged it safe, and sat up. Sweat ran down her temple and disappeared under the collar. No smile, no relief. Just center. Colonel Cade approached, boots in sand. All authority, no noise. He stopped a pace away and kept his voice level. "Report. Rifles fully operational, sir," Rhea said. "The malfunction." He didn't blink. Minor fouling in the extractor assembly. She said, "Probably environmental." Merrin's head turned a fraction. The colonel's didn't move at all. Pike shifted his weight like a man on a deck he couldn't feel anymore. Cade held Rhea's gaze a breath longer than custom. Understood. Gunnery Sergeant. He turned to the rangemaster. Secure the line. Hold all footage. Tower feeds included. A crisp eye. Sir. And the distant camera atop the tower panned to a neutral line of sky. Lenses still recording. Finch stepped forward, then stopped himself. Gunny Rhea looked at him. The word died on his tongue. He dropped his eyes. Marin moved in tight to Cade. Speaking low. Sir, I ran integrity on the range tower. Motion activated. It has a clean angle on lane 5. Cade and Marin didn't hand over the tablet. He just unlocked it. Turned the screen. Pike saw his own hands on the video before Cade did. The angle was merciless. The brass, the wedge, the thumb. The little click may as well have been a gunshot. Cade didn't flare. He went colder. Sergeant Pike, he said, still watching the screen, do not move. Pike's mouth tried on a smile and couldn't wear it. Sir, this is do not move, Cade repeated. Softer. Command as geometry. Finch swallowed. Sir. It was Pike turned his head. Sudden and raw. Don't! The single word sounded like a man begging himself. A burst of encrypted radio hissed in Cade's earbud division net. Not range. Marin caught the tone and tuned his own radio up half a notch to listen. Thunder actual. This is Division 3. Audit packet received. Directive follows secure directorate asset. Isolate compromised personnel. Sequester all media. Prepare movement of asset to Gray Mesa by 2200. Confirm. Cade glanced at Rhea. She didn't ask. She never did. Division 3. Thunder actual, he said. Voice flat. Confirm receipt. Range Echo 9 is secure. Copy. Secondary Spartan-proof live fire resumes at destination under unknown variables. No external observers. Acknowledge. Unknown variables. The phrase hung there like weather. Cade clicked off. Face unreadable. Master guns. He said, escort Sergeant Pike to the COC. No cuffs. Marin nodded once. Aye, sir. Pike's eyes slid to Rhea's sleeve. Whatever he thought he'd see there, he didn't. He looked away quickly and went with Marin without a struggle. Cade waited until they were gone. Then he crouched. Not as a courtesy, more like a confession. You could have said sabotage. Rhea wiped a line of carbon from the bolt face she'd already cleaned. Wasn't needed. He almost smiled. Almost Project Iron Voss, he said, and the name sounded like a key turning. That's not a code name I hear outside closed doors. Then why say it out here? Rhea asked. Because Division just reactivated it. Cade said, and they didn't ask if I agree. He stood. The heat struck him like a reminder. Pack your kit. Your wheels up to Gray Mesa with my escort. Tonight. Finch took a half step after them, the decision written in his throat. Sir, if I could, Cade didn't look back. You can't. They reached the JLTV. Rhea slid the M110A2 into its case like a ceremony she'd been rehearsing her whole life. Cade lowered his voice. This wasn't about a rifle on Echo 9. It never was. He tapped the tablet where the word restricted still glowed. Someone's trying to kill this program. Maybe not the way you think. The horizon shifted heat waves, wobbling like something alive. A siren began to wail from the main gate, distant and thin. Marin's voice cracked in on the internal net. Urgent now. Thunder actual. Be advised Division convoy just checked in at the perimeter and sir. You're not going to like this. They brought their own armorer and a sealed case. Label reads test article. M110A2 variant K. Cade looked at Rhea. She zipped her case. The sound ran like a blade. What's variant K, he asked. Rhea didn't blink. I wrote the memo for it, she said. It deletes the shooter. The siren wailed until it broke itself. Convoy engines growled through the heat shimmer 8 Division trucks in column, dust boiling behind them. Rhea Voss stood beside the JLTV, wind tugging at her sleeves, eyes locked on the lead vehicle. The case Pike had sabotaged her rifle for was now strapped to its hood, stenciled in black test article, M110A2 variant K. Colonel Cade spoke without looking at her. Division says they're here to observe revalidation. They didn't mention bringing your replacement. Rhea's answer was a breath. Variant K doesn't replace anything. It erases whoever uses it. The convoy stopped 20 yards out. Doors slammed in unison. A major in Division Gray stepped down first. Spotless boots in the dirt. Colonel Cade. Directive from Command, transfer custody of the Directorate asset and prototype. The major's hand gestured toward Rhea like she was gear. Cade didn't move. She's not an asset. She's my Marine. The major's smile didn't reach his eyes. Not for much longer. The world condensed to heat, breath, and distance. Rhea's hand drifted toward her rifle case, not to draw, just to touch it, as if it needed steadying. Behind them, Finch hovered by the supply truck, uncertain which universe he belonged to. Master Guns Marin stood still, unreadable. He'd served long enough to know which way the tide would pull. Cade said quietly, "You built that rifle, didn't you?" Rhea nodded once. "Then you know how to end it," he said. The major's voice rose. "Colonel, you will hand them over now." Or Cade's sidearm came up fast. Or what? The division soldiers froze. Sunlight flared across his pistol sights. No one breathed. Not even the desert. Rhea stepped forward. Slow, calm. "Sir," she said softly. "Stand down." Her tone wasn't request or command, it was understanding. She moved between him and the convoy, unarmed, then to the major. "You want the variant, take it." She opened her rifle case, but instead of lifting the weapon, she pulled the small brass shard from her sleeve pocket and placed it on top of the case. "This is your proof of concept," she said. "How sabotage performs under pressure." The major frowned, uncertain. "It failed." She continued, "Just like your prototype will. You can't automate judgment. You can't code trust." The major stepped closer. "You're out of line. Gunnery Sergeant." Rhea's gaze was flat. "No, sir, just out of patience." A long silence. Then Cade holstered his sidearm and turned to Marin. "Wipe the range data, now." The master guns didn't ask why. He just nodded. By the time Division realized what he'd done, half the files were already erased. The major called for his men, furious, but no one moved. Maybe it was the heat. Maybe it was something older than orders. Rhea closed the rifle case, latching it once final. Clean. She looked at Finch, who'd been watching in awe and shame and gratitude all at once. "Don't forget what you saw here," she said, "and don't repeat it." She slung the case over her shoulder and walked toward the horizon. No salute, no ceremony, just a soldier carrying a tool that no longer needed to prove itself. Behind her, Cade's voice carried quietly, more to the desert than to anyone alive. Some weapons earn their names. The rest earn silence. Rhea didn't turn. The sun caught the brass shard still gleaming on the case. It was the last thing that moved before the wind took it.